All right, we're going to continue graphing, but today we're going to do it a little bit different. We are going to work with x and y intercepts. So a point on a graph where a line crosses the x-axis, we call that the x-intercept. And the point on a graph where the line crosses the y-axis, we call that the y-intercept. Now we are just going to find our x and our y intercepts. We always write that in coordinates form, where we have our x, which goes side to side, and our y, which goes up and down. Oops, sorry. So let's start with the point right here. I just colored it purple on our x-axis. Well, that point is at -5, 0. Now, let's find the point on the y-axis, and it's where it crosses the line. So this one crosses the line at 0, 4. All right, let's look back again at the x-axis on the next one. It's crossing right here. So that would be 1, 0, because I go over 1 and up none. My x-axis crosses here at 0, -4. My x-axis in number 3 is crossing right there at 3, 0. And my y-axis is crossing right here at 0, -1. If you will look, you will see a pattern. Every answer has a 0 in it. -5, 0, 0, 4. 1, 0, 0, -4. 3, 0, 0, -1. So all of your answers are going to look similar to that. So we just looked at a graph, and you told me, or I told you, where the x-intercept and y-intercepts are. But what happens when we don't have a graph? We have to do it mathematically. So to find the x-intercept of an equation, make the y equal to 0 and solve for x. To find the y-intercept, make the x 0 and solve for y. This is much easier than it sounds. So I'm going to have an x and a y. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to rewrite the problem. Y equals 3x plus 6. Well, I'm looking for the x. So that means I take my y, I'm going to erase it, and instead of a y, I put a 0, because that's what it says to do right here. Make the y 0. And now I'm going to solve it. To do that, I need to get the x by himself, so I'm going to subtract 6. 0 minus 6 is a -6 equals 3x. Divide by 3, -2 equals x. And now I need to write it down here. This is the x, so it goes in the first space, and we know the other answer has to be a 0, because that's what we used for y. Now let's figure out what our y is. To do that, you make the x equal to 0. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. Y equals 3x plus 6. This time, instead of an x, I'm going to erase that. It's 3 times x, so I'm just going to write times 0. Well, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6, so y equals 6. So for my y-intercept, the 0 comes first, and then the 6. Let's do one more practice. I'm going to have an x and a y. To figure out the x, I make the y 0. I'm going to rewrite the problem. Y equals 1/2 x minus 8. Instead of a y, I write a 0. I'm going to add 8. 0 plus 8 is 8 equals 1/2 x. 1/2 and x are being multiplied, so I'm going to divide. 8 divided by 1/2 is 16 equals x. So down here, I write 16, comma, 0. Let's do the same for the y. I'm just going to write the problem first. Y equals 1 over 2x minus 8. Instead of an x, I'm going to write times, because it's being multiplied, 0. Y equals 1/2 times 0 is 0 minus 8. 0 minus 8 is negative 8. 0, negative 8. On this side, I want you to do 6 and 7 on your own, and you'll have to turn those in to me. What we've been doing so far with y equals whatever, that's in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Well, now I'm going to change it up a little, and it's actually easier because we could just graph those, but these down here are in standard form, and we cannot graph those without changing them. So instead, I'm going to figure out my x and my y for these. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. 2x, this will be my x, and this will be my y. 2x minus 3y equals 12. Well, instead of a y, I'm going to erase that. I didn't mean to erase the 3. 3 times 0. Well, negative 3 times 0 is 0, so that goes away, and I'm just left with 2x equals 12. Divide by 2, x equals 6. I write 6, 0. And now I'm going to go down here on my graph. I'm going to go over 6 and up 0 and put my first dot. Now let's do the other side. 2x minus 3y equals 12. This time I'm going to erase the x. And instead of that, I write times 0. 2 times 0 is 0 minus 3y. So that goes away. I'm left with negative 3y equals 12. Divide by negative 3. Y equals negative 4. So I write 0, negative 4 at the bottom. And I'm going to go over none and down 4. So my y-intercept is right there. And then I draw a line to connect them. So that's how we graph them. Let's do one more for practice. So I'm going to put ones in front of these just because I like to do that. So I'm going to have an x and a y. Rewrite my problem. 1x minus 1y equals 2. So I'm trying to figure out the x, so that means I erase my y and write times 0. Well, 1 times 0 is 0, so that marks out. I'm left with 1x equals 2. If you want to, you can divide by 1. X equals 2. 2, 0. Now I'm going to do it again for the y. 1x minus 1y equals 2. This time I'm going to erase my x and write in a times 0. 1 times 0 is 0, so that marks out. Negative 1y, don't forget that negative, equals 2. I divide both sides by negative 1 to get the y by himself. Y is negative 2. 0, negative 2. So to graph this, I'm going to go, to graph the x-intercept, I go over 2 and put my dot. For the y, I go down 2, and then I just connect my dots. All right, I need you to do number 10 on your own. When you're finished, let me see these notes so I can give you credit.